My name is Dawn Forrester Price. I have been a teacher of English for many years, been a theater artist for a long time, an actor, a musician. I have used Jamaican drama or self-made drama to teach students English in Jamaica as well as in the United States from elementary school to college level. And as an English teacher and as somebody who did literature at undergraduate level and teaching and education at graduate level, I have always been plugged into sharing information with the humans. And it turned out that I wrote this book rather than try the didactic method because when my family moved to East Central Iowa, we found that my kids who are biracial were having a very difficult time of it, not seeming to be welcomed by either the white community or the Black community at school. I felt very supported by my knowledge of who I am from having grown up in Jamaica from the time of independence, when we started to have a grip on the ideas of what made us Jamaicans. I decided that instead of telling them about my life, I would write this story where I can introduce them to characters of their own age and give them an insight into what the history, part of the history of my country, Jamaica, is. First of all, kids are curious and grown-ups are curious. And as being able to connect to these books brings the reader into the context, the historical context. And they are transported into like a Jamaican sugar plantation in the 17th century. They meet all kinds of individuals from different aspects of that community. They meet these children who are enslaved, people in power on the plantation, and they meet the freedom fighters, the Maroon warriors. So it vividly communicates the complexities of human life. I find that when we're thinking history, we're thinking of, well, on this date that happened and on this date that happened, but what caused it to happen and what else was going on at the time? Context is everything. I think the biggest theme in the book, in the series of books, is family. Well, it's supposed to engage students from their emotion. It's supposed to foster critical thinking and curiosity and empathy. And I've used it by simply reading it as a story. I've used it to open up discussion about the physical on the ground, what's happening. People have been able to use it to teach in terms of the physical geography. When we see different aspects of the people's community, different little cultures manifest themselves. And this is very intriguing to kids. So if it's a small child, we can hear a part of the story and we can illustrate it or come up with questions to quiz each other, things like, well, what would you do if you were in that situation? But have the kids sit down and think about give them a scenario from the book that they haven't read and ask them just critical thinking, how they grow from going into a situation in ignorance and finding a way to deal with it. So it's not, it takes the history and the language it permeates them. And so that's why I did an audio copy of the first book, because introducing the series, I thought really might be nice to have the audiobook for younger audiences. But I find that older people are using the audiobook just as happily. Kofi could barely contain his anger and fear as the muffled sound of the horse's hooves thudded past slowly. Psst! The sound came from a row behind. Kofi turned around uncertainly and peered through the long, narrow leaves to see Morgan swaggering up and down in a parody of the overseer. Morgan's antics always made Kofi laugh. Not only are they getting involved in that adventure within the books, but they are having an adventure and expanding their own parameters of their own lives, their own understanding, stretching their empathy, stretching their understanding. And then maybe one of the exercises could be to seek something similar from their family's own background. Are the families from India? In everybody's historical line, there is something that makes an exciting story. I haven't found an age group yet that doesn't enjoy the adventure.